In the shadows where the veil thins, truth whispers, unseen forces stir, and the unknown calls your name. Here, in the depths of the metaphysical, the darkness is not to be feared, it is to be understood. But beyond the night, there is also light. For every shadow there is a glow, for every question an answer waiting to be found. We walk the line between mystery and revelation, between fear and enlightenment. Welcome to Lumino and Umbra, where we embrace both the seen and the unseen, the dark and the divine. Delic Octon, your guide on this journey beyond the veil. Together, you will discover the secrets of the metaphysical world, step by step, shadow by light. Now, here is your host, Delic Octon.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Spiritual Nest and welcome to my show Lumino and Umbra. Tonight we are going to be talking the second part of the Saturn subject, and it is actually pretty interesting. And if you have watched the first part of the show, I highly suggest you to watch the second part, because this second part is actually going to be super exciting. So, I just need to do a couple things in here real quick. All right. And for some odd reason, I got frozen on my, yep, okay, there it is, that's good. All right, before I start talking about the Saturn, I would like to let you guys know that if you guys watch the first part of the show, it will make more sense, because I have given some topics about this subject, some pretty main topics that I will be talking about it, because last week, for some odd reason, my computer was acting and I could not add up the usual materials on this. So that's the reason why tonight the subject or topics that I will be talking about Saturn is kind of explained in the first part, and then the second part is going to be actually included with more visual materials and with the rare informations as well. And if you would like to learn all about the Saturn placements in your birth chart, I have talked about that in the karma subject. I think it was on the second part of this karma video. You can check that one out as well, how the Saturn was actually affecting your karma in your birth chart based on the replacements and based on the placements and stuff like that. Before I start to talk about this subject, I would like to give my disclaimer. And again, welcome to the show, everyone. Before we dive into the fascinating world of Saturn, I want to be clear about a few things. The information shared in this podcast is based on a variety of sources, both verified and unverified, and is presented for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is absolutely not my intention to influence or change your personal beliefs in any way. Your spiritual journey and the conclusions you draw are entirely your own, and you have the sole right to your own judgment and discernment on these topics. Please be aware that I cannot be held responsible for any personal interpretations or comments you may have regarding the subjects discussed. This podcast and any accompanying videos are intended solely for an adult audience of 18 years or older. If you are under the age of 18, please exit this podcast or video now. Thank you for your understanding and for respecting this disclaimer. Now let's begin. Oh, hello, Ansuman. No, I'm not doing the readings today. I will be doing the readings next week, hopefully. And that time I can actually give you the reading if you would like that. Today I'm only talking about the Saturn part, so that's okay. You have a good night's sleep then. I can see you next week. So let's talk about the Saturn. Last week I had talked about the planetarian features of Saturn. All right, I think I'm back. So now, hopefully I can do it. For some odd reason, I am having the problem with my camera, and I don't know why. And that's the reason why I had to cut it off shortly and had to fix the problem. And I hope it doesn't happen again. Honestly, right now I am super stressed out because of it. But anyways, where was I? Let's see. So I was talking about by the way, I will try to add up all these visual contents, visual materials that I have prepared. Ooh, no, remove this one. Okay, and I will add up the stuff. Let's see if it works, and I hope it works. If it doesn't work at this point, I may just cut it off and figure out everything, what's going on, and go ahead and do that next week, I guess. And I will be adding all these stuff while you guys are going to be seeing that. Let's see what's going on. What did I put over there? All right. That's going to be this one. So now, remove this. Here I am again. Let's talk about it. Woohoo! I'm excited. Okay. I hope nothing happens again. So let's see what's going to happen. I hope everything goes good. So last week we were talking about the planetarian pictures about the Saturn, and we were actually talking about the hexagonal storm and why it was happening and why it is permanent and blah blah, a bunch of other things. And actually how Saturn was viewed in the history or the mythology, and then how Saturn viewed as a black sun and esoteric geometry of the Saturn and the psyche of initiation, and the alchemy of Saturn, and the occult darkness, soul's karma, and all that. So now we are going to be actually talking about the little bitty about the mythology, okay, general symbolism in across all cultures, and how the Roman mythology, actually I didn't talk about the Roman mythology, I talked about the Greek mythology, so I will be talking all about that. Hopefully it works out and my camera doesn't stop working again. All right, general symbolism across cultures of Saturn is often associated with the principles of time, limitations, structure, and karma. Its slow orbit, which is approximately the 29.5 years, and distant position from the sun have long linked it to themes of endurance, discipline, and the passage of time, which we have talked about this last week a little bit. So now, according to the Roman mythology, the Roman god Saturnus was originally a deity of agriculture and sowing. His mythical reign was a golden age of peace and abundance. He was later conflated with the Greek Titan Cronus, the father of Zeus. This association brought, sorry about my pronunciation, brought in the darker myth of Cronus, who devoured his own children to prevent a prophecy of being overthrown. which I have talked about this as well. This act symbolizes time devouring all things. The agricultural cycle of Saturnus merged with the psyche of Cronus, creating the archetype of Father Time. And in Hinduism, in Vedic and Hindu astrology, Saturn is known as Lord Shani. Lord Shani is a powerful and feared deity, the Lord of karma and justice. Shani's influence is believed to shape destiny and deliver the consequences of one's actions, while his transit, known as Shani Sadesati, which is very well known transition in the Vedic astrology, most of the people are going through the hardest times in their lifetime, in their life. And this only happens like every 29.5 years. And while his transit can be a period of intense challenges and hardship, it is also seen as a time of profound spiritual growth, discipline, and purification, which is true because during the Saraswati, people are going through a lot of things, but this is kind of like called in some sort of like a tower moment, according to the tarot, if we could explain it in a sense like that. Tower card is actually representing that the shedding the old, but it is actually happening all of a sudden. And it is happening with a lightning bolt, is hitting the tower and shedding everything out and breaking the tower down, destroying everything, and then rebuilding itself from the zero, or like you may call it some sort of in a way, in some sort of like the phoenix is reborn, phoenix reborns from the ashes. Okay, it's something like that. Oh my god, something is happening with the connection or the internet or my camera. It's like glitching in a weird way. I don't know. I hope I don't lost it again. Okay. Babylonian and ancient Near Eastern beliefs are actually viewing the Saturn like this. The Babylonians refer to Saturn Oh, well, I don't know what is happening, but I'm just going to be keep using my own computer's camera, which is not perfect. It's like super grand and it's looking horrible. Sorry about that, you guys, but at least I know one thing, that you guys are not going to be seeing a whole lot. So I'm just going to be keep going with it. But first, I will put all my stuff again. Of course, I have to do that, redo all these. It sucks. It really sucks. You have to do all those things from 0 to whatever point. There we are. All right. So let's see. And here I am for now. All right. So Babylonians referred to Saturn as Kajamano, and it was seen as a mock sun. By the way, if the voice is coming a little different, is because I have to use the microphone on my computer right now, is because for some odd reason neither the camera nor the microphone is working. I don't know what is going on with the computer lately at all, like have no single idea. Fuck. Anyways, so Babylonians referred to Saturn as Kajamona, and it was seen as a mock sun or mock moon with a complex and often malevolent nature. It was associated with Ninib, an agricultural and warrior deity. The planet was also considered a principle of evil by some traditions. Occult and esoteric information that I will give right now about all these. So in occult traditions, Saturn's symbolism goes far deeper, exploring its role as a cosmic gatekeeper, which I have talked about this last week as well, a source of profound spiritual wisdom and a force of material manifestation. Kabbalah is actually viewing the Saturn like this. So last week I have talked about how Kabbalah is actually viewing the Saturn. Gosh, I don't know if the camera is dirty. Probably it was a little. Sorry about that. It was a looking little different, little blurry. Much better, I guess, now. In the Kabbalistic tree of life, Saturn is linked to the Sephira Bina, which means understanding. Bina is the Great Mother, the divine feminine, and the source of form and structure. While Keter, which means crown, represents pure potential, Bina is where the formless takes shape and becomes manifest. Okay, I guess in one of these, I cannot see it exactly, but I will look at it again. Let me see. Is it in this? No, I think it was on this. Here, yeah. So this is also explaining the hexagon, the Scythe, and Bina in Kabbalah, and the lords of karma, as you can see it on this. So this is how actually it is explaining. I hope you guys can see it. If you guys cannot, you guys can make it a little bit bigger on your screen as well. I highly suggest that. So then while I am talking about this, it can actually make more sense to you guys. Bina is where the formless takes shape and becomes manifest. This makes Saturn not just a force of limitation, but the very principle that gives boundaries and reality to creation. It is the great sea of all manifestation. The Hebrew name for Saturn, Shabbatai, meaning is the seventh, connects it directly to the Sabbath, a day of rest, completion, and culmination of the week's work. And I actually have talked about the alchemy of Saturn, but I will give a little bit more information, which last week I have mentioned the term called magnum opus. I will be talking about that as well. So in alchemy, Saturn is often symbolized by lead, the metal lead, and represents the initial dark phase of the great work, which is called the nigredo. It means blackening. This stage involves petrification, decay, and the confrontation with the prima materia, or raw chaotic matter. This is a painful but necessary process of dissolving the old to create the new. The lead of Saturn must be purified and transformed into gold, a symbol of spiritual enlightenment and the philosopher's stone. So this alchemical journey mirrors the astrological principle of Saturn's lessons, which is that through hardship and discipline, one can achieve spiritual perfection. And while I was talking about this, actually, according to the alchemy, turning the lead into gold, there's this stage, the first stage, that it is called magnum opus. Magnum opus is a Latin phrase that literally means great work. It is used to refer to the greatest and most important work of an artist, writer, composer, or scholar. It is a masterpiece that is often considered the culmination of their career and the work for which they are best known. Like this. But some famous examples of a magnum opus that we can give is Leonardo da Vinci, Herman Melville, and for example, like Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, Herman Melville's Moby Dick, Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace, and it goes like that. There's even more. But in alchemy, the magnum opus, which I just mentioned as a great work, is the process of creating the philosopher's stone from a base substance known as the prima materia, which I just mentioned about it. While the goal is often described in material terms, such as transmuting lead into gold, the magnum opus is also understood as a profound process of spiritual and personal transformation. Magnum opus is typically divided into four main stages, each associated with a specific color and symbolic meaning, okay? So the first one that I was mentioning earlier, nigredo, the blackening, this is the initial stage of petrification, decomposition, or dissolution. It symbolizes facing one's shadow or the unconscious, confronting darkness, chaos, and impurities to prepare for purification. And then after that, the whitening, which is called albedo, is coming. Following the negredo, this stage is about purification. It represents cleansing the material or the self of impurities and achieving a state of clarity. By the way, if you guys are wondering why I am talking about all these, is because Saturn is a gatekeeper, which we are talking about it. Let's put this, you guys can see that. So all these whitening, blackening, whitening, yellowing, reddening stages are representing each one of these that you can see it on the screen right now, okay? All these stages are representing these. The yellowing part is coming after whitening. It's called citrinitas. This stage, sometimes combined with the final stage, symbolizes the dawning of the solar light. It represents the awakening of inner wisdom and the integration of conscious and unconscious aspects of the self, leading to the wholeness. The last stage is called the reddening. Rubedo. It's called rubedo. The final stage, rubedo, is the culmination of the work. It symbolizes the union of opposites, rebirth, and the perfection of the philosopher's stone. It is associated with the color of gold and represents achieving spiritual enlightenment and union with the divine. So another thing is that I would like to put it out. The magnum opus is not just a scientific recipe. It is a complex philosophical and symbolic journey of self-discovery, with the ultimate goal being the perfection of the self as much as the perfection of matter. All right, so I have talked about the black cube of the Saturn last week, which there's actually in my presentation right here that I have made for you guys. Ta-da! So last week I couldn't show this, of course. The hexagon star in North Pole of Saturn is right here on the screen, as you guys can see it. It is a hexagon shape, which this hexagon shape is actually leading us to the black cube of Saturn. You will see right there. And I have talked about this, why this is permanent and how this is happening and blah, blah. The information on the screen that you see is just a little bitty part of it. And here, this is the Saturn cube that we're talking about. So the black cube of Saturn, as we see that, it is the hexagon shape, right? And let's talk about that, because last week I kind of talked about it, but it didn't last too long. Black cube of Saturn is a powerful and recurring symbol in esotericism and conspiracy theories. Yes, we are coming to that part too. It is said to represent the material world, a matrix or prison of physical existence created by the Saturnian force of limitation. The cube is a perfect geometric form symbolizing structure and confinement. This imagery on the screen is believed to be hidden in plain sight in objects like the Jewish tefillin, the Kaaba in Mecca, and various
architectural and pop culture symbols, which are right here. We can talk about those as well. These are the black cubes all around the world, and even more. I just put only a few of them right here, and there's also this one too, which we talked about the Kaaba. It is the bottom in the middle part. Yeah, bottom row in the middle right there is the Kaaba. But we're going to come back to that again. So there is a lot, and about the black cube part, I'll be talking about that a lot because there's a lot of things to say. So there is actually, according to the conspiracy theories, there is the secret cult of Black Cube. And the idea of secret cult of the Black Cube is a concept that is prominent in modern esoteric and conspiracy-oriented circles, drawing on a range of historical and symbolic associations. But to me, I will say the things on YouTube at the same time who are possibly the part of the secret cult, really, that I'm actually talking about it on their platform. Such an ironic, by the way, but at the same time, I will be honest. I think after all the researches that I have done about this, I think it is true. I think they are existing, and I think there is also some links that I have found about it, which I will come up to that as well later. But let's keep talking about it. It is not an officially recognized or established religious group, okay? The Black Cube cult, the secret cult of Black Cube that I'm talking about. So, rather a set of beliefs and interpretations centered on the symbolism of Saturn and the Black Cube. All right, so there are actually some things about this Black Cube. Black Cube is an esoteric symbol. Let's talk about that. In occult and esoteric traditions, the Black Cube is a powerful symbol with multiple layers of meaning. Saturnian power. This is the most important part. So the cube is the geometric representation of Saturn, a planet associated with time, structure, karma, and limitation. In this context, the cube represents the material world and the physical reality that confines the human soul. This is the first part of it. The second part of it, the prison of matter. Also, it is talking about the prison of soul. The cube's 6 faces and rigid form symbolize the constraints of the physical plane. It is often referred to as a prison or a matrix of reality, where souls are bound by the laws of time, space, and karma. And also in the pop culture and corporate logos that we can see the Black Cube. The theory extends to modern symbols with adherents pointing to Black cubes in art installations, corporate logos, and architectural designs like the UN buildings, Black cube sculpture like that. Do we have that? I believe right here, yes. And interpreting them as evidence of a hidden influence. But also there is modern esoteric works about it, which there is a book that it is called The Cult of the Black Cube, a Saturnian Grimoire by Arthur Moros. This concept has been popularized by this book, by this esoteric book mainly. These works explore Saturnian magic and philosophy, often with a focus on its antinomian, which is anti-cosmic or a cosmic nature, which stands in opposition to the established order of the universe. In summary, long story short, the secret cult of the Black Cube is not a formal organization, but a collection of occult and conspiracy-based ideas that link Saturnian symbolism to various cultural, religious, and political structures. It is a modern synthesis of ancient astrological and alchemical beliefs with contemporary theories about hidden forces and mind control. Also, to me, they are existing. This cult is existing for real. I do not believe in what internet or the AI tells us to believe, but actually, I believe that it is really existing. And when I actually made the research about this, as I asked the question for who are the part of the cult of Black Cube based on the theories. I had to ask it like that. Based on the conspiracy theories, really, the cult of the Black Cube is not a formal group, as I have just mentioned it, but it is not a formal group with a membership list. Instead of that, the theory claims that its members are part of a secret elite or a hidden network of powerful individuals who subtly use Saturnian symbolism to exert control over the world. The groups and individuals alleged to be part of this cult are not typically named directly, but rather the theory points to various institutions and figures and interprets their actions or symbols as evidence or of Elogians, yes. So it is really interesting, I would say. And to me, according to the researches that I have made, I actually came up with some interesting things of it. So based on the Saturn and all these things, the black cult, Black Cube cult, and whatever you would want to call, okay? I had came across with the Starlink project that actually based on the Saturnian things. But I don't know if this is really true or not, but there is a conspiracy theories about it as well. By the way, in a little bit, I will take a little bitty break time. And on that break time, I will try to figure out my camera issue and microphone issue and all that. And if I cannot figure that out, honestly, I am thinking to do something through my phone, and so I don't torture you guys in your ears like that with the horrible microphone results. Okay, so 10 more minutes, guys. Sorry about that. Religious and political leaders, if we talk about it, the theory often suggests that certain leaders in various Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are part of this cult, citing the cubical symbols found in their sacred traditions such as the Kaaba and Tefillin. And the global elite part of it is interesting. Conspiracy theorists frequently point to powerful figures in finance, technology, and politics as being members. They claim that these individuals use their influence to create a matrix or system of control that keeps humanity enslaved to the physical world, symbolized by the black cube. Secret societies, this is another part of it, it's really interesting. The theory suggests that well-known secret societies and occult organizations are either fronts for or are influenced by the Black Cube cult. And there is also the celebrities and pop culture icons. In some versions of the theory, specific celebrities or artists are accused of using Saturnian symbolism in their work, such as music videos, performances, or fashion, as a way to signal their allegiance to the hidden cult. Okay, so there is another theory is coming according to this, okay? It is following it because this black sun theory, which I was mentioning earlier, is actually linked to this too. What is the theory of Saturn as black sun? Why it is related with the theory of darkening the sun based on the project of Bill Gates? Woo! The concepts of Saturn and the black sun and the theory about darkening the sun linked to Bill Gates, according to the internet, are distinct but have been intertwined in a modern conspiracy theory. Okay, so I will talk about this and I will leave the judgment totally up to you because it is really interesting, okay? The theory of Saturn as the black sun is actually a concept found in the various occult, alchemical, and esoteric traditions. It is not based on a scientific astronomy, but on symbolic interpretation. The esoteric meaning of black sun does not refer to a literal astronomical body, but rather an invisible spiritual sun. In alchemy, it represents the nigredo or blackening phase of the great work, which is a process of decay, dissolution, and purification of a base substance to prepare it for transformation into gold and blah, 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 which we talked about that earlier. Saturn's role in this is Saturn is the planet of time, karma, and limitation. In this context, it is seen as the ruler of the material world and the physical reality that can be present for the human spirit. The black sun is the hidden internal light that can only be accessed by transcending the limitations of Saturnian reality. It is an inversion of the common association of the sun with life and warmth, instead representing a deep, transformative, and often frightening source of power. Bill Gates, so it has this project which is called the Solar Dimming Project. The theory about Bill Gates is a misinterpretation, according to the internet, of his involvement in a scientific field known as solar geoengineering or solar radiation management, which is also SRM, shorter version of it. So, to me, they actually there's I will explain scientific basis and it is all that and stuff. But there is, if you make your own research, you will find out that the Bill Gates is actually into these Saturnian Black Cube, the secret cult of Black Cube, like this, or even if it is not the part of it, or even if he is not following the Saturnian things, there is a still relation about it. So I have to talk, of course, like this, like, oh yeah, Bill Gates doesn't have anything to do with it, and blah blah. But if you're asking me my opinion about it, definitely has certain things that I can actually say it and name it. But on YouTube right now, of course, I cannot name it a whole lot because it's against YouTube. So what can I do, you know? Gosh, okay. I will take a little bit of break for now, you guys. And at that time, I will try to figure out the camera and all that and the microphone. I don't want to torture you guys like this, so I'll be back soon. All right, see you guys in a little bitty. Uh-oh, it's not playing with it. Gosh, now I'm completely acting up. I don't know what is happening.
In the shadows where the veil thins, truth whispers, unseen forces stir, and the unknown calls your name. Here, in the depths of the metaphysical, the darkness is not to be feared, it is to be understood. But beyond the night, there is also light. For every shadow there is a glow, for every question an answer waiting to be found. We walk the line between mystery and revelation, between fear and enlightenment. Welcome to Lumino and Umbra, where we embrace both the seen and the unseen, the dark and the divine. Delic Octon, your guide on this journey beyond the veil. Together, you will discover the secrets of the metaphysical world, step by step, shadow by light. Now, here is your host, Delic Octon. In the shadows where the veil thins, truth whispers, unseen forces stir, and the unknown calls your name. Here, in the depths of the metaphysical, the darkness is not to be feared, it is to be understood. But beyond the night, there is also light. For every shadow there is a glow, for every question an answer waiting to be found. We walk the line between mystery and revelation, between fear and enlightenment. Welcome to Lumino and Umbra, where we embrace both the seen and the unseen, the dark and the divine. Delic Octon, your guide on this journey beyond the veil. Together, you will discover the secrets of the metaphysical world, step by step, shadow by light. Now, here is your host, Delic Octon. In the shadows where the veil thins, truth whispers, unseen forces stir, and the unknown calls your name. Here, in the depths of the metaphysical, the darkness is not to be feared, it is to be understood. But beyond the night, there is also light. For every shadow there is a glow, for every question an answer waiting to be found. We walk the line between mystery and revelation, between fear and enlightenment. Welcome to Lumino and Umbra, where we embrace both the seen and the unseen, the dark and the divine. Delic Octon, your guide on this journey beyond the veil. Together, you will discover the secrets of the metaphysical world, step by step, shadow by light. Now, here is your host, Delic Octon.
Okay, I don't know if I figured it out. Can you guys hear me good or something is going on? Is it this one? Okay. All right, I think I am using the right camera, but all right, it is good, but I need to unmute. Yes, I need to mute myself on this. Now, I think we are good. Are we all good? Can you guys hear me good? I hope you guys can, because I actually put it on the phone and I have two cameras on and I'm looking weird. I see myself on one of them really weird and I see myself on the other one totally different. So wish me luck, you guys. Let me see. Let me fix this a little. In order for me to use my computer also, I needed to use my camera and a microphone and I didn't want to torture you guys. So now, but also I can use my computer and I can use the phone as a camera and a microphone. I think I figured that out. It's a little weird connection that I have done it, but I think it is working. And if it is not working, you guys let me know, please, about it. All right, so if my ear torturing microphone issue is done, let's talk about this. So there is for the solar dimming project of Bill Gates has the certain things that we'll be talking about it. Scientific basis. Okay. The scientific basis, solar geoengineering is a hypothetical. Gosh, today I really stressed out because of this microphone and the camera issues. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm really sorry about it. So the scientific base of this thing is like the solar geoengineering is a hypothetical and controversial field of climate science that proposes various methods to reflect a small percentage of sunlight back into space to cool the Earth. One of the most discussed methods is stratospheric aerosol injection, which is shortened as SAI, which would involve spraying aerosol particles like sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere to mimic the cooling effect of large volcanic eruptions. Do you really believe in this? I don't know. I do not. There is also other things of it too. Oops. Everything got bigger. Not that big. But anyways. What am I doing? I'm messing up with my text in here too. And if I don't write a text, I can mess things up in here. Today I'm having all sorts of issues, so I'm just letting it go. For some odd reason, it is just happening, but it is what it is. Oh well, I try to fix it with my own way as much as I could. So, this is actually much better, easier. So I think I can use my phone as a camera next time. That would help too. Oh, okay. And the Bill Gates' involvement is coming into this part. Bill Gates has provided funding to research programs in this field, such as the Harvard-led stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment. The goal of this research is to study the feasibility and potential risks of these technologies, not to implement them on a global scale. This is part of a broader push to find innovative, if risky, solutions to climate change. All right. And the connection and the conspiracy theory that we are coming up, in conspiracy theories, these two distinct are fused to create a narrative that is not supported by evidence. The theory claims that the black sun is real. Adherents believe that a cosmic malevolent force symbolized by Saturn and the black sun controls the world through a secret cult. So, eventually, I will be talking about the Saturn and Moon matrix. It is interesting because this part is coming back into that part again. You will see what I'm talking about. Bear with me. Bear with me. Solar dimming is a ritual. Yes, it is actually, in fact, because there are esoteric and occultic rituals like this also. And that's the reason why solar dimming is a ritual. I believe in this, but I will try to explain it from the other side as well, because I'm trying to be objective in here. The scientific work on solar geoengineering, particularly the SAI method of spraying aerosols to darken the sky, is interpreted not as a climate solution, but as a ritualistic act by this cult, which is true. There is actually rituals like this for sure, for real. And In fact, I will just give it a little quote on that. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it or came across with it, and everybody has been talking about if NASA actually went to the moon or not. Yes, they went to the moon, but that didn't happen in front of the people like that. That actually had happened totally in a different timing. So, a lot of the things, this is my belief. I'm not trying to change yours, but I would like to I would like to tell you this thing to make some sort of sense. Going to the moon was also a part of the ritual because there was a ritual that should have supposed to been done on moon. That's the reason why they went to the moon. That was the part of it, but it did not happen in a way that we have seen on the TVs back in the 1970s. Not like that. No, that is totally different. This is what I believe in because actually there are things actually supporting this. I don't know what you believe in, but also I would like to see you guys' comments about it as well. So let's keep talking about it. Solar dimming is a ritual. The scientific work that we talk about it is a like darkening the sky is a ritualistic act by this cult. The darkening of the sun is seen as a way for the cult to block the true spiritual sunlight, trapping humanity in a Saturnian matrix of physical reality, which I will be talking about this matrix for when I'm mentioning the Saturn and Moon matrix that it has created. Bill Gates is a proxy. In this theory, Bill Gates is viewed not as a philanthropist, but as a key figure or a pawn of this alleged cult. His funding of SRM research is presented as evidence that he is actively working to enslave humanity by blocking the sun's light, both physically and spiritually, to further the agenda of the Black Sun. So, I actually need to give this because I have to either that way or this way. In summary, the connection between these two ideas is entirely symbolic and conspiratorial. It takes a legitimate area of scientific research and reinterprets it through a mythological and occult framework, creating a narrative of a hidden malevolent power at work. Blah, blah, blah. I have to say this because I'm on YouTube. All right, let's talk about if Saturn is a soul trap. Is Saturn a soul trap? So Saturn is a possible soul trap, yes, because Gnostic and Archonic view there is, and which I will be explaining what the Archons are. In certain Gnostic cosmologies, Saturn was associated with the demiurge, which is called Yaldabaoth, or his archons, who govern the material universe and keep souls bound in cycles for reincarnation. Saturn, as the limit of the visible cosmos, was seen as the prison gates where souls were judged and recycled. This gave rise to the belief that Saturn's rings are not just physical but energetic boundaries, locking consciousness into time and form. And while I was mentioning about the Archons, let's talk about who are Archons. In Gnosticism, the Archons, from the Greek word archon, meaning ruler or prince, Archons are a group of malevolent world governing powers. They are central to the Gnostic creation myth and are considered a key part of the cosmic structure that Gnostics believed had to be understood to achieve salvation. Their origin and nature is actually that I'm talking about it right now. According to the Gnostic cosmology, the universe was not created by the supreme benevolent God. Instead, it was created by a lesser, ignorant, and often malevolent deity known as the Demiurge, also called Yaldabaoth in some texts. The Archons are the children and servants of the Demiurge. They were created with the material world and serve as its rulers and jailers. These are semi-divine beings. Archons are often described as semi-divine or demonic beings. But when I was talking about them, angels and demons, this is not something that I have came across, okay? And I will be talking about this if they are either viewed as angels or demons, okay? There were typically 7 archons, each associated with one of the 7 planets known to ancient astrologers as Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Each archon ruled over a different celestial sphere or layer of the sky. Their role in Gnostic cosmology is the primary role of the Archons is to maintain control over the material universe and prevent the spiritual enlightenment of humanity. It is interesting. This part is really a brain-frying part. Jailers of the soul also. The Gnostics believed that the human soul contains a divine spark from the true supreme God, which has become trapped in a physical body and the material world. The Archons are the jailers who keep this divine spark imprisoned so they can actually suck the energy off of it. Literally, that's what it is. Impeding gnosis. The Archons actively work to deceive humanity and keep them ignorant of their true divine origin. They create false laws, religions, and social structures that bind people to the material world. As rulers of the celestial spheres, the Archons were taught to guard the path to the true divine realm, the Pleroma. A soul attempting to ascend after death would have to pass through each Archon's sphere and without the proper secret knowledge, which is Gnosis. The soul would be turned back or re-enslaved in the cycle of reincarnation. So, for Gnostics, Gnosis is the key to liberation, okay? For Gnostics, salvation was not achieved through faith alone, but through Gnosis, a direct, personal, and intuitive knowledge of one's divine nature and the true structure of the universe. This knowledge was the key to overcoming the Archons by knowing the Archons' names and their deceptions. Agnostic could bypass them and ascend to the pleroma, the realm of the true God. In a sense, the Archons represent the forces of spiritual ignorance and material entrapment that Gnostics sought to escape. And just like I said, the Gnosis is the key. As Archons are semi-divine beings, which level are they belonging to based on the hierarchy level of angels and demons? Let's talk about this one. So based on Gnostic texts, Archons cannot be neatly placed into the traditional hierarchies of angels and demons found in Abrahamic religions. They belong to a distinct cosmological, why did I say it like this? I don't know, cosmological system, and any comparison is symbolic rather than a literal one-to-one mapping. Archons in Gnosticism, the universe is divided into different realms, and the Archons are the ruler of the lower material realm. They are the offspring of the demiurge, the arrogant, the ignorant creator of the physical world. Their position is they are not part of the divine hierarchy of true supreme God. And instead of that, they are the governing forces of the cosmos. The material universe, they reside in the planetary spheres that separate humanity from the spiritual realm. Actually, we can look at this one back again. And the Archons are actually coming back into this, as you can see it on the screen, hopefully. Their primary function is to act as jailers, preventing human souls, which contain a divine spark, from escaping the material world and returning to their true home in the pleroma, which is the God, the realm of the Supreme God. They are seen as the authors of deception, ignorance, and the false laws of the physical world. So, either that way or this way, we are always coming back to Saturn being a having a relation with the malevolent beings, and those malevolent beings are actually trapping people, human souls into the world constantly. So when I'm talking about it, eventually I will be talking about this Saturn-Moon matrix. And when I talk about that, you will understand why I am saying that actually Saturn is a soul trap, which is a soul trap, not just a metaphysical way. It is a materialistic way soul trap. Comparison to angels and demons. So, as angels, Archons as angels in some Gnostic texts, the Archons are referred Two as angels in the sense that they are messengers or servants of a god. Specifically, the demiurge uh, is often identified with the Old Testament God, and his archons are seen as a corrupt version of the celestial hierarchy, which I have talked about this in the angels and demons episode that when I have done. This makes them a dark reflection or inversion of the divine servants of the true God. As demons, archons as demons also is happening too. In modern terms, archons are the best understood as demonic entities. They are malevolent, deceptive, and work to bend and imprison human consciousness. Their goal is to prevent spiritual liberation, which is a key characteristic of demonic forces in many traditions. In some Gnostic texts, they are explicitly referred to as demonic or demonic powers that exist to enforce spiritual ignorance. Therefore, while the Gnostic archons do not fit into the established ranks of Christian angel hierarchies like the cherubim, seraphim, principalities, or archangels, they conceptually align more with the category of demons due to their hostile, deceptive, and anti-spiritual nature. They are seen as a cosmic ruling class that opposes the true divine light. All right. Saturn's ring is another part that we will be talking about it. Which I had talked about this last week a little bit, but I will open up a little more. Saturn as a ring pass not. So in this picture, I guess you guys can see that Saturn's ring is out there and that it is something that we cannot pass. It is the boundary of consciousness, okay? In Theosophy and Hermetic orders, Saturn is often called the ring pass not, the boundary of consciousness. This doesn't mean it is evil. They are making it super sweet like this, but actually it is evil. But I will take this way also. But it does mean Saturn is the checkpoint. Souls that cannot transcend karma and illusion are bound back into reincarnation. In this sense, Saturn functions as a trap for the uninitiated, but a gate of liberation for the awakened. Saturn in occult astrology. Yeah, we are coming to the really rare astrological informations about Saturn. Let's talk about it. Astrologically, Saturn rules karma, oaths, and debts. Some mystics believe that when we die, Saturn's sphere is where our contracts are reviewed by the lords of karma. If debts are unresolved, the soul is sent back into incarnation, creating the feeling of a trap. However, initiates can consciously work with Saturn's tests overcoming karma to pass beyond its sphere. So, in this part, actually, it is very interesting to me. Why? Because in the karma subject, when I was talking about it, um, I have explained this very much, and every little simplest promises that are coming out of your mouth or going across in your mind are going into Saturn's rings. Ta-da! Isn't it interesting? And it's actually coming back at you if it is undone. Now we are coming to the Saturn-Moon matrix theory. Yeah, let's talk about this one. This is very interesting. I would like to say, I would like to say it is very interesting because it is actually going into the frequencies and stuff and is totally turned into something different. And that's the reason why I highly believe that Saturn is not just metaphysically or metaphorically a trap. It is also a trap physically for human souls, is because of this. When I was actually doing this research, it actually got me really bad. Let's talk about this. And more modern occult conspiratorial idea suggests that Saturn projects frequency signals to the moon. I am repeating myself on this. A more modern occult conspiratorial idea suggests that Saturn projects frequency signals to the moon, which then reflects them to Earth, creating a matrix of illusion. It is about the time, death, and reincarnation. Yes, exactly, because Saturn projects frequency signals to the moon, and the moon is reflecting them to Earth. It's creating the matrix of illusion. I think, when was that? I think a couple days ago or something like that. I was listening this book that was based on the Nikola Tesla and the his experiments that he has done, that it was based on the frequencies and stuff like that, right? Which he was actually obsessed with this 369 frequency and all that. He was like so into this vibrations and frequencies and all that. And actually, in that book, it was talking about something that the frequency, the Saturnian frequencies, frequency signals to the moon and coming to the Earth, and how it is actually affecting Earth. And Nikola Tesla actually found out about this, and it was so interesting that while I was listening to that book and I was doing my stuff, I was like, "What? What? No, it's impossible! I was just doing the research about this." I was like this, but it is true. Nikola Tesla found out about that, and it is interesting, really. In this view, Saturn is the engine of the soul recycling system. Yes. Ancient cultures, Sumerians, Babylonians, Phoenicians, revered Saturn as a god of bending and control, which adds fuel to this theory. Yeah. Saturn also is the lord of the matrix. In this theory, Saturn is a key controller of human consciousness. It is linked to the ancient Gnostic concept of the Archons, who are said to be semi-divine malevolent rulers of the material world. The theory claims that Saturn broadcasts a low frequency signal that manipulates our reality, keeping humanity trapped in a state of fear, limitation, and ignorance. The planet's iconic rings are sometimes interpreted as a type of broadcast or sound system that amplifies the signal. Yes, so, and also in that book that it was talking about how actually Nikola Tesla has found out all these um, signals and stuff like that. It was very interesting. I wish I could remember the book's name, but there is a book that actually was talking about it. Literally, it was so interesting. It was literally like, oh my God, I was just making a research about it not too long ago. I was literally like that. Yeah. It was interesting. Sometimes universe is bringing all these things in front of you like boom, 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 one after another. It is really interesting though. The moon as a receiver and amplifier is also the moon is in this theory, okay? The moon, according to this theory, is not a natural celestial body but an artificial satellite, which what have I mentioned earlier? Moon is an artificial satellite, of course. It is said to have been placed in orbit by a non-human intelligence, often identified with the Archons or reptilians. The moon's purpose is to act as a receiver for Saturn's signal and then to broadcast it to Earth, creating a holographic or simulated reality. This is an extension of the hollow moon or spaceship moon conspiracy theories. We are saying it, I have to say it as a conspiracy theories, but as we all know that the moon is actually really Earth's orbit or Earth's satellites. Are we really thinking that? I don't know. I do not believe in that, but it's up to your judgment, of course. And so the goal of this matrix, let's talk about that also. The primary purpose of this matrix is to feed off of human emotional energy, particularly fear and suffering. As I have mentioned it earlier about this also, proponents of the theory believe that our reality is an illusion designed to keep us distracted from our true divine nature and to prevent us from achieving higher consciousness. True. It is true. I believe that we are in the matrix, and lately, actually, everybody is pretty much thinking like that as well. I am not the only one. Oh my God, I'm getting fried under these lights, but yeah. So everybody has been thinking that, and people actually lately have been questioning about it, and this is the reason why I actually wanted to make this episode of Saturn subject because it is really interesting and it is including really rare informations about it that you cannot come across with it, probably not in a lot of the channel like that or not everywhere on internet really. I have done really specific researches about this, honestly. And I'm not trying to make myself like, oh, I am perfect. No, I am not perfect. It's just I really put my time and effort in this to make this become this level, make this happen. So yeah, I don't know what you guys are thinking about it, but you guys better tell me something, no? Since my tea is gone, let's talk about it. All right. I think last 6 pages left. Okay, it's not going to take too long. I promise you guys. Probably another like 45 minutes and we are going to be done. Okay, the Saturn-Moon matrix theory is not a single coherent idea, but a synthesis of several much older concepts. So that's the reason why I really do not believe in that this is just a conspiracy theory, because actually a lot of the old texts were talking about it. Gnosticism is talking about it. The Gnostic belief in the Archons as rulers of a false material world is a foundational element, okay? And there's also the holographic universe theory. The theory draws from the work of physicists like David Bohm and Carl Pribram on the holographic nature of the universe, reinterpreting their scientific theories to support the idea that our physical reality is an illusion. Yes. And also, there is modern conspiracy theory part of this. The theory was this modern conspiracy theory part of it actually was popularized by conspiracy theorist David Icke, who linked the ideas to his broader narrative about a reptilian human hybrid elite that secretly controls the world. He argues that these beings are the modern-day Archons who work to maintain the Saturnian matrix. So, long story short, the Saturn-Moon matrix theory suggests that Saturn and the Moon work together as a cosmic control system to maintain a simulated reality that imprisons human consciousness for the benefit of unseen malevolent entities. It is a highly speculative theory that is not supported by scientific evidences, but there are other evidences that supports this. So I'm not taking everything as a scientific evidence base. But at the same time, we all know that some evidences are or shouldn't be really scientific to prove its own thing. So, yeah. And also, alchemy and the liberation part is actually interesting. In alchemy that we talk, the Saturn corresponds to lead, the heaviest, densest state. This is the symbolic of spiritual imprisonment. But alchemy also teaches lead becomes gold, meaning Saturn is not a permanent trap. It is the first gate of the great work. By confronting Saturn, the soul gains the ability to transmute and move beyond the prison of matter. This is the metaphorical part of it, okay? Yes, I agree with this in the metaphorical part, but at the same time, in a reality, there is a part of the Saturn's involvement which is highly should be viewed as a like carefully about this thing that I have been talking about it. Okay, for the I think this is going into the... Yes, it is going into the rare... Yes, okay. This part of the Saturn is actually going into the very rare informations. All right, so sorry. Dun, 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 dun. See. Up. All right. And let's do this. Here we are. I'm not even touching my phone and doing this. It's so nice. I love it. I think I will use my phone as a camera and a microphone next time, which is much better. All right, so another part that we will be talking about the Saturn is these are the rare informations, especially rare esoteric informations. So Saturn, according to the esotericism, Saturn is the final initiator, the dweller at the threshold. I have talked about this last week, the dweller at the threshold, which is, we can actually bring this one. I think it was showing this one. Yes, we have seen it on this one. So yeah, it is that. But I would like to say that who must be the dweller at the threshold, who must be faced before passing into the higher world. So as we can see this on this diagram, actually, that's how it is showing that. Like there's 4 stages. Earlier I have talked is all actually initiating each one of these stages, okay? And the answer depends on the soul's level of awareness. Either it is a trap or it is a gate for the soul in the esotericism. Saturn is both the warden of the prison and the keeper of the key. To some, it is a soul trap. To others, it is the guardian of liberation. Now, Saturn is the planet of oaths and contracts. Ancient astrologers taught that every promise, vow, and contract made under Saturn's influence is karmically binding across lifetimes. This is why Saturn is often linked to cosmic law enforcement, the enforcer of divine contracts, which I have talked about the placement of Saturn in the karma subject, as you can check your own Saturn placement, which is so important. So you can actually use that as your threshold and you can actually pass through that, right? Poorly aspected Saturn can show broken vows in past lives, now manifesting as obstacles. It is true. And you can actually see that in your own birth chart. In your own astrological birth chart is the contract, your divine contract, your soul contract. So that's the reason why you definitely should check that out. The Saturn-Moon relationship about the karma matrix in esoteric astrology, Saturn rules time, as we have talked about it, while the moon rules memory and the past life imprints. Together, they form the karma matrix. That's how it is. Moon equals to the record of past lives, and Saturn is the judge and enforcer. If Saturn and Moon are in hard aspect, let's say like squaring or opposition, on your birth chart, the soul feels especially trapped by ancestral or karmic debts. And traditionally, Saturn is exalted in Libra. So we are giving actually really rare informations in here. And if you are interested in this astrological part, I highly suggest you to listen it very carefully. Saturn is exalted in Libra, meaning karmic balance is Saturn's higher purpose. But in some Hermetic schools, Saturn also has secret exaltations in Aquarius and Virgo, where it teaches mastery over mind and matter. Virgo, which Mercury and Earth ruler, or the Mercury and Earth are ruling the Virgo. Virgo lets Saturn crystallize wisdom into form, while Aquarius, which is the air sign and ruled by Saturn itself, while Aquarius allows Saturn to transcend into collective service. Saturn as the dweller at the threshold. According to the occult astrology, Saturn is the outermost visible planet to the naked eye, marking the limit of ancient astrology. Esoteric astrologers called Saturn the dweller at the threshold, which we have talked about this earlier, the planet that tests whether the soul is ready for higher frequencies like the Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. In a natal chart, Saturn shows the place where the individual must undergo trials before spiritual initiation can unfold, okay? And Saturn is a karmic initiation. So for this part, I have talked about it last week a little bit, but I will be talking about it specifically. While most astrologers talk about Saturn return at 29, how it is actually happening. Last week, I have mentioned that the first Saturn return happens when you're 29. And this is called the awakening stage. Karmic death surface. One must face their true path versus illusions. Okay? And then the second Saturn return happens 58, when you are at the age of 58. Mastery part of it. The soul chooses whether to become a wise elder or to crystallize into bitterness. Third Saturn return happens at the age of 87, liberation. The soul prepares for transcendence beyond incarnation, but only few live consciously through the third stage, through the third Saturn return, but occult schools see it as a gateway out of Saturn's karmic cycle. Saturn and the shadow of the sun. Okay, so Saturn, some Hermetic astrologers considered Saturn the shadow or twin of the sun. Sun equals to the eternal spirit, and Saturn equals to the temporal limitation. Together, they form the wheel of incarnation. The soul, which is the sun, enters time and must eventually escape it. In a birth chart, harsh Saturn-Sun aspects often shows lifetimes of struggle with identity, ego, and authority, but also the potential for spiritual alchemy. Saturn's hour and day in astrology. I have mentioned this, I guess, last week, but I will talk about it one more time. Saturn rules Saturday, and its planetary hour is considered the most potent for banishings, karmic workings, and oaths. So Saturday is actually, its meaning is Saturn's day. Okay, Saturday is coming from there. Saturn's day. In esoteric astrology, the Saturn hour is when vows made are the most unbreakable, whether curses or sacred promises. Initiates would use this time to consciously bend themselves to spiritual discipline. And also Saturn South Node connection. Rarely discussed about this, but Saturn in conjunction with the South Node is seen as a karmic depth marker. It often shows the soul has unfinished ancestral or past life contracts, obligations that feel like heavy chains. But if worked through, this conjunction gives immense wisdom and mastery over karmic law. Saturn and ancestral spirits are also coming into the subject. Some esoteric astrologers say Saturn represents the ancestral vault in a chart where the weight of family lineage, curses, or blessings are stored. This is why Saturn transits often bring family karmic issues to the surface. In occult ritual astrology, calling upon Saturn was a way of invoking the spirits of the ancestors. Yes, that is true. I have came with this information across with a lot of times in a lot of the esoteric books, actually. Saturn as the planet of silence, which you guys, if you guys make your own research about this, you guys will come across with this terminology, the planet of silence. And initiatory astrology, Saturn is called the planet of silence because it demands stillness, discipline, and inner listening. It governs all esoteric practices of retreat, fasting, and withdrawal from society. A strong Saturn in a mystic's chart is often the marker of true initiation through solitude. And slowly but surely, I'm coming to the end. Yay! I am at the end. Yes, so long story short, Saturn in astrology is not just about hardship, it is the guardian of oaths, the tester of souls, the ancestral judge, and the keeper of the key to initiation. Its placement in a chart shows both the trap and the gates of the soul's journey. And this is true. Saturn is not just the malevolent evil planet. When it is retrograding, yes, we are having the comfortable times and blah blah. But when it is coming back, it is actually coming back to ask you, like, hey, what have you done when I was retrograding? That is the time. So right now, while the Saturn is retrograding when I'm doing this video, you all need to think about the Saturn placements in your birth chart as well. One more time. Why? Because you need to actually work on your own Saturn placement, how it is actually affecting you, if it is karmic, and what kind of um, karmic chains or the chain of events that it is bringing in your life and how it is affecting you. And so, because of this reason, you always should think about the Saturn one more time, really. It is really important. We all are actually ignoring the placement of Saturn in our birth charts, but actually, it is something that we all should be careful, and we should have a clear perspective about our birth charts and the Saturn placements in regards to figure out the things about this lifetime in your life as well. So, everybody, I don't see anyone right now online, so I would like to say that whoever was with me in here, thank you so much for you all being in here. Thank you so much for listening me for all these hours, and including with all the hardship that I have gone through with all this episodes. Through all this episode, I had to deal with a lot of technical issues, but now I will not leave my job up to the chance anymore. I don't know what is going on with my little cute camera, but if there's anything is going on, I think I will be using my phone's camera for a little bit. And even though for you all who actually bared with me and stood there with me and waited for me patiently, thank you so much to you guys. I appreciate it to you all really. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share. This is really important. I need you guys' support, and that actually helps me a lot. You guys have no idea. Thank you so much for being in here. I will see you guys later. Bye bye, everyone.